But don't let the wins along the way lose value. Don't let those incredible incremental steps serve and motivate and connect for yourself. Then what'll end up happening is I'll lose the motivation and I'll end up not ending up doing the work that it'll take to potentially get me where I want to go anyway.
Welcome to the Ignited Recovery Podcast, a new way forward for anyone looking for answers but feeling left out. If you've been searching for empowerment, triumph, and purpose, you've found them right here. You won't hear the same solutions, and you're not going to have any excuses to fall back on, because Ignited Recovery allows heroes to rise and become their best selves. I'm Dr. Sophie Jaffe, and I can't wait to be your guide on this journey. Are you ready to become an ignited hero?
My background, right? Jail, rehabs, looking at a decade or more in prison, getting out, not being able to get a job, going back to school, and just really literally getting to this place. Talk about no expectations. One foot in front of the other. How do I solve the next thing that's in front of me and do the best job that I can showing up to that thing? And then we'll see what's possible on the other end, right? That was literally like the cycle that I put myself in because I had no options. Like it was so hopeless. I was just holding on to the ability to do the next thing, and it worked. I mean, I've said this a million times before, and I'll probably get emotional again as we talk about this stuff here today, but nobody who knew me back then would have written the script. Nobody. Any expectations I would have set up on the front end would have actually been too low. And then 2 weeks ago now, wow. 2 weeks ago, I ended up having this privilege of going to Wisconsin and meeting in person people we've been working with for almost a year, meeting clients, meeting some of the users of the platform, meeting the professionals on the drug court and the DWI court and the judges and these incredible people, right, all over this community, giving talks, going to Madison, Wisconsin to talk to an entire department in corrections for the entire state, all around the work that we've been doing here for 5-6 years. Insane. Like the fact that I went from looking at 13 to 15 years in prison to sitting in a room with judges talking about what we should do, it's still kind of inconceivable to me, if I'm perfectly honest. I went into that trip with expectations. I went into that trip in my head in very clear ways of what I would consider success. Now, again, goals versus expectations. I don't know that going into that trip, because I don't put a ton of expectations in my everyday life, but I don't know that going into that trip, I recognized how anchored I was to those specific outcomes as a measure of success until the day I went to Madison and my expectations didn't play out. And all of a sudden, this trip that was magical, just the fact that I was there was magical, and every day felt great, and I was so connected to the work and everything that we were doing. Not just took the shine off, but I found myself really having to fight, still feeling good about what was going on. And the reason was really simple. I'll just lay it out. But the reason was I was looking for a specific sort of answer from the people at the state level in terms of what we could commit to and what level of engagement we would have over the next year. And some of it was about money, and some of it was about how many people we could help over the next year or so in Wisconsin. And it didn't play out. They needed to kind of work back expectations a little bit and make it a much longer runway. And, there's more work we'll need to do to get to where I wanted to get. Everybody else who I told about what happened said, hey, good work. We're getting started. This is the next step. It's great. And in my head, I had to keep fighting that reality because I was so married to a very specific result that anything short of that felt like I had somehow failed.
What's up, everybody? So glad that you've tuned in here today. You know, we bring you these recovery episodes to help anyone who's struggling with addiction or habits that don't serve them break free of the cycle using the latest research and the most effective strategies that I've found over my years of doing this and thousands of people I've helped. Obviously, we offer this free resource to you because I know that getting help is hard and I want to make it as easy as possible. So even if you never join our online hero program or come to our retreats or come and work with me individually, I want you to at least have access to the same powerful tools that have changed thousands of lives. If you like this and think it's useful, please give us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or just wherever you're listening to this right now. It really helps get the word out about this free resource, which is important since my goal is to help over 1 million people. So thanks a lot for being part of the Ignited community. Now let's get you back to the help.
Now, looking back in hindsight, if I had done that along the way, let alone allow anything that didn't measure up to my goals, expectations, wishes, I would have quit a long time ago, on almost every front in my life. I probably wouldn't have finished school because the first time that the people at UCLA told me, hey, you didn't have the grades here and you didn't have the kind of credentials and the recommendations to get into graduate school here. So don't even bother filling out the application. I would have said, oh, well, I guess I can't do this either. Or when things went wrong in my relationship early on, I would have said, well, I guess this is not the one. At Ignited, my business before this that started faltering, at Ignited, it's been a lot of hard work to get us where we are right now. And at every step of the way, there were times that things just didn't work out the way I wanted them to and expected them to are two completely different things. Because when things don't work out the way I want them to, I have this fight inside me that'll let me go further. But once I put expectations on it, the voice in my head tells me, if this wish isn't met, you did something wrong. You screwed this up. You didn't show up the way you needed to. And that's language I'm very familiar with, right? But honestly, I'm familiar with it like 20 years ago. And so it peeks its head every once in a while. But I've heard it from some of the heroes in the last couple of weeks. And so I wanted to bring it front and center. First of all, obviously, as usual, to show you guys it's a work in progress, right? Thankfully, I only have this happen now a couple of times a year, and it's on really, really, really big stuff, and mostly stuff that I'm not familiar with, mostly areas of life that I don't really know how to navigate. So I don't understand them well enough. And I put these marks, right? Like I pin a to-do task on the wall that I don't really know how realistic it is.
Hey everybody, it's Adi again, and I want to share with you something that I believe is one of the most useful free tools I've ever created for my clients and for you. It's our free personalized My Drinking Score report. Look, you already know that at Ignited, we don't care much for labels and we don't believe in any of those once a blah, 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 always a blah, blah, blah slogan. But if you are questioning your specific relationship with alcohol, you may be trying to figure out how to understand what you need to do and whether you're moving in the right direction. Well, then this completely free tool is for you and will give you the answers you're looking for. All you're going to do is you're going to take a 5-minute quiz answering simple questions that you know the answers to. And then like magic, our system is going to spit out a custom report so that you can find out more about your relationship with alcohol and actually get guidance and help to some of the changes that you can individually make. I created this tool to give you a customized, personalized virtual resource that you can take at any time, and that makes it easy to get the exact recommendations and steps that you need to help eliminate your struggles. Anybody can take it, and did I mention that it's completely 100% free? Well, it is. So stop running around in circles trying to figure out why you're having a hard time getting sober and get real solutions and guidance to help transform your life and get ignited forever. Just pause this audio right now and go to ignited.com/go. Again, that's ignited.com/go and take our 5-minute quiz right now. Find out what your drinking score is and then share it and tag us on Instagram or Facebook, because remember, fuck shame. Together, we get to move forward and get better every day.
And so I wanted to bring it up because I think in a much smaller way than I had been used to experiencing, I felt some shame. I had told other people at home what I was hoping to expect, right? I told some of our leadership at Ignited what I was looking for. And when it didn't deliver, the message didn't feel like just, hey, we tried really hard and we didn't get it, but we'll get it next time. It felt like, shit, I promised all these people, I told all these people we're going to achieve this goal and we didn't. I fucked up. And I was just talking to Sophie a couple of days ago. I think that's what made me want to talk about it here today. It was, it's been a week and a half since. And I just realized that in a way, I'm still coming out of that a little bit and trying to fight those expectations to some extent. And remember, it's still incredible that I got to walk into the Department of Corrections and have this conversation even. It's still incredible that I got to give this talk in front of whatever it was, like 120 people in a city I'd never even heard of until 9 months ago. And all the people that I got to meet and all the change we've been able to create, all of that is still incredible. There's nothing about that reality that has actually changed. The only thing that changed is the lens I'm wearing, the perspective I have on it, because of this one thing that I wanted that was hanging over here. And the reason I'm fighting against it, the reason I'm sharing it with you guys, and the reason I want to see if it's relevant to anybody else is if I don't figure out, I'm going to figure it out and it's fine. But if I don't figure out how to flip the script on that and say, hey, you're totally fine working towards that big, amazing, oh my God, contract with the state. But don't let the wins along the way lose value. Don't let those incredible incremental steps serve and motivate and connect for yourself. Then what'll end up happening is I'll lose the motivation and I'll end up not ending up doing the work that it'll take to potentially get me where I want to go anyway. And whether it's improving your relationship or drinking less or getting a better job or getting out from under a boss that is pissing you off or finding new friends or helping your son do better in life, like whatever that is, there are always these opportunities to just switch from this is a goal and this is what I want and this is what I'm working towards to expectation. If this doesn't work, we fucked up. What is the process I have to take myself through to recognize the difference between those two when they happen, call myself on it as quickly as possible, and get back to what I'm calling reality, the one where incremental steps will get you where you're going. And it may take longer, it may look different, it may feel different, it may be with a different person, it may be in a different place than you had originally imagined. But that imagination is it's like an opening, right? When we have imagination, when we have goals, when we set in our mind's eye what it is that we want in the future, we're creating an alternate reality. If you think about it for a second, we're trying to create a version of the future that we can then work towards. But let's be honest, we're not soothsayers. Creating that version of reality is magical because it allows us to understand what we have to do, the work we have to do to get to that place, the mindset we have to be in that place, the relationships we need, the resources, whatever that is for each one of us. But it would be pretty incredible if we could create this alternate reality and then every single aspect, every detail of it worked exactly as we had imagined it before. That would be pretty incredible. What happens more often, I believe, is we hit pretty close to the mark, right? If it's like a bullseye, we may not hit right on the bullseye, but we may be 1 circle, 2 circles away. And when it comes to that target, we get better and better and better and better and better at hitting the bullseye. But we have to allow ourselves the room for essentially practice.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ignited Heroes Recovery Podcast. I really hope you found the information here useful and that we'll see you back here next week. And look, I want to make sure that this podcast is the most useful it can be for you, so please let me know by emailing info@ignited.com if there are any specific topics or questions you'd like to have addressed. As usual, if you like this episode, I would love for you to leave us a 5-star review and rating. Thanks, and see you next week.